on YouTube at HSTV Live GH the world to like, comment and share. Now on to some headlines making bulletin. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has urged Muslims to embrace the Zongo Development Fund during the Eid celebrations. Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party (NPP), Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has emphatically rejected the practice of LGBTQ in Ghana. Road transport operators have expressed strong opposition to the unsanctioned increase in public transport fares by certain drivers. And also, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is working on a mobile application which makes it easy for underserved communities to access health care. Now the news in details. Onto our very first story. In a bid to foster unity and development within the Muslim community, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has embraced and encouraged the Muslims to embrace the Zongo Development Fund during the Eid celebration. Addressing a crowd of worshippers, the president emphasized the importance of utilizing the fund to improve infrastructure, education and healthcare in the Zongo community. He highlighted the government's commitment to empowering Zongo residents and creating opportunities for growth and prosperity. The call to action was met with enthusiasm and support from the Muslim community, citing and signaling a positive step towards inclusive development and social cohesion right here in the country, Ghana.
I came to you in the course of the 2016 electioneering campaign with a promise to make the challenges and concerns of Zongo communities an integral part of the governance process under my leadership. 7 years down the line, I can say with some measure of satisfaction that the promise has been fulfilled. Today, many Zongo communities around the country bear witness to the impacts the projects undertaken under the Zongo Development Fund are having in the lives of their inhabitants. From the construction of school infrastructure, to the provision of computer laboratories, to the enhancement of sanitary facilities, to the development of AstroTurf football pitches, we have uplifted the lives of thousands, if not millions, of people living in Zongo communities. It is my hope the residents of Zongos will own the fund and leverage the support of government for attracting external support for the fund, rather than it becoming a wholly government-funded initiative. I'm urging you to show a heightened sense of interest in the development of the fund so that we can grow it for successive generations of Zongo people.
In our history of our country, where the Zongo community has so been considered for policy so that we see some development. That's why he said some measure of progress have been made, but maybe not to the level that we expect. So we are appreciative and thankful and hope that more will be done. Like he said, let's all contribute to the fund and make sure that the fund is able to take on board the various facets of our needs as a community. We need a lot of economic empowerment. We need education. And like the Chief Imam also indicated, he's calling the Muslim youth want to be educated and to learn skills and to find employment so that they avoid the life of idleness and unproductivity. And then also the call for peace and to avoiding divisiveness, intemperate language, hate speech, are things that for me resonate with our spirit of fasting. And we thank him for that reminder and hope that the Muslims have heard the message and they will apply to their lives as we move forward.
Moving on to another story, Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has emphatically rejected the practice of LGBTQ in the country. Now, in his first public commentary on the raging issue, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia mentioned no words and completely shutting it down while addressing thousands of Muslims in Kumasi during the observation of Eid prayers on Thursday. In his address, Dr. Bawumia said personally he does not support the practice of LGBTQ and his belief is consistent with the stance of his religion, Islam and other religions, as well as social and cultural norms of Ghana.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to personally comment on the raging issue of LGBTQ in Ghana. First of all, it is important to note that our cultural and societal norms and values as Ghanaians frown on the practice of homosexuality. Furthermore, as a Muslim, my view on this matter aligns with the position of my religious faith.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
The Holy Quran is replete with verses frowning on LGBTQ acts, including same-sex marriages. My faith is therefore very strictly against the practice of homosexuality. No ifs or buts, no shades of grey. Therefore, I personally cannot support that which my religion and indeed all major religions in Ghana, as well as our societal norms and values, clearly and unequivocally forbid. All the major religious traditions in Ghana, Christianity and Islam, are opposed to this practice. And I stand opposed to it now, and I will stand opposed to it as president, inshallah.
Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, is admonishing the youth not to allow themselves to be used as conduits for electoral violence. This comes ahead of the upcoming parliamentary and presidential election, which is expected to take place on December 7th, 2024. The Vice President has urged Ghanaians to uphold peace and tolerance for each other to foster unity in diverse political landscapes as the country prepares for the December 7th, 2024 polls. Speaking at Thursday Eid prayers in the Ashanti region, the Vice President emphasized on the need to embrace a fair and free election that is out of violence.
As we approach the campaign season for the elections in December, let us all be guided by acts which will preserve and uphold the diversity of our country and its unity. To the youth, you are the nation's most valuable asset, and under no circumstance should anybody lead you into any form of electoral violence. Ghana needs you, safe, active, and lively, to lead the nation's charge in the promising fourth industrial revolution. Let us all say no to all forms of electoral violence.
That was the Vice President and the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia. Now, on to another story. Now, Ashanti Regional Chief Imam Sheikh Abdul Mumun urged the Muslim community to evoke a sense of nationalism as emphasized in the Holy Quran. After 30 days of fasting and remaining pure before Allah, the Muslim community in the Ashanti region climaxed the holy month of Ramadan with prayers and merrymaking.
Prophet Muhammad emphasized his love for Mecca, but his people rejected him. Love your country, avoid violence.
Now, in a recent press release, the road transport operators have expressed strong opposition to the unsanctioned increase in public transport fares by certain drivers. The leadership has labeled these increases as illegal, citing violations of administrative instruments governing fare review. Now, they have initiated discussions with stakeholders and the Ministry of Transport to find a resolution. Meanwhile, commuters are advised to disregard any fake hikes and continue paying the approved rate. The unions are determined to ensure compliance across regions and maintain the welfare of transport operators.
Ghana Road and Transport Operators have issued a stern warning in response to the recent unauthorized fare hikes by some public transport drivers. The leadership has denounced these increases as illegal and is in discussion with stakeholders to address the concerns arising from the latest fuel price adjustments and operational costs. A pivotal meeting with the Ministry of Transport is scheduled for April 10, 2024 to present their demands. Commuters are advised to adhere to the approved fare rates and ignore any unauthorized increases. Compliance with the established fare is expected to be enforced by the regional administrations and relevant local authorities. The road and transport operators assures drivers and the public that any fare adjustments will be communicated officially following their consensus with the stakeholders.
Now, on to a very devastating story. Fire has destroyed several shops and goods at Medina Market. The inferno, which started at about 9 p.m. on Wednesday, April 10th, was still raging at about past midnight. Despite initial difficulties breaking into the shops, personnel of the Ghana Fire Service were able to douse the fire. Now, Director of Operations at the Ghana National Fire Service DO1, Kofi Forson, told the media it was not an easy task as they lacked access to where the fire was spreading, and because it happened at night, the shops were closed and had to break through, which made it very tedious. Though no casualties were recorded, 2 traders, out of shock, fainted upon arriving at the scene. The cause of fire is yet unknown, as officials are still finding out what was the cause of the fire.
That is this today, and so we are holding it so that we will ensure that there will not be any possible reignition before we declare it finally extinguished. So that is what you see us doing. It's not been easy for us. You can attest the fact that there was lack of access to where the fire was spreading, and we need to know it happened in the night, so everybody's shop is closed. So we need to make sure we break some of the stores before we can get access to the source of the fire. That makes it very tedious. And so far, like we said, we'll be able to bring it under control, and we are doing massive cooling so that the fire will totally be extinguished. Oh, for now, you cannot tell, because you can equally see our men standing on the roof putting out fire. That is a risky job that we are doing. Actually, such fires, you fight it from the inside. But because the doors were locked, it opened, ventilated itself. The fire itself, bent and opened, ventilated through the roofing. That is where we use to assess the fire. And so for now, I would say it's not been easy, but we're able to douse it, such that it will not pose any threat to.
In a landmark achievement for maternal health, the Presbyterian Hospital at Agogo, situated in the Ashanti region, heralded a year of remarkable success by reporting zero maternal mortality in 2023, with over 2,000 mothers experiencing safe childbirth at the hospital during this year under review. This achievement not only reflects the hospital's commitment to excellence in healthcare, but also underscores the pivotal role of safe care interventions in transforming maternal health outcomes. Speaking at a ceremony to commemorate the achievement, the General Manager of Agogo Presby Hospital, Reverend Ezekiel Amadu, lauded the significant role the that initially and intentionally accredited safe care quality improvement protocols have played towards the achievement of this very reward.
Pharmacists, they assist us, simply put, to get quality medicines and ensure that the supplies nothing but quality medicine. Safe care, as we normally call them, healthcare standard, they kind of help us to make sure that quality standards are adhered to, so that at least we can repeat and repeat and repeat. And like we have mentioned at the Deba grounds, if not for anything, at least we are looking at the next 5 years if we can sustain it.
Targeted facilities going 100 days without recording maternal death. But to go 365 days with all the challenges, receiving 2,126 women who delivered in this hospital in 2023 and not recording a single death, even though some of them were complicated cases that were referred, it shows that the system is working well. It's symbolic of the commitment, the skill, the competencies of the staff. It also shows the networking, the good collaborative work with the district health administration, with other facilities that are in the district or municipality, whether it's CAP there.
We formed a team comprising of the specialists, the medical officers, house officers, midwives, and nurses as well. And then we also collaborate with other departments such as the NICU and then the pediatricians, because one person cannot work to achieve such. We tightened our infection prevention precautions.
Achieving this milestone has been complementary. I mean, other stakeholders, came into the picture with the kind of efforts they needed to put in place, the strategies they employed, which they participated actively. And that is what is accounting to the decline over the past years. Yes. So Agbo Hospital, like I said, is a pivot of the
Now, disease outbreaks in remote areas in Ghana are most often reported late or underreported due to the lack of avenues to channel these reports to inform relevant national intervention. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is working on a mobile application which makes it easy for underserved communities to access healthcare. The mobile application, which has been developed under the Misty Health project, can operate with or without internet. The app would be used to gather data on disease symptoms, which would then be analyzed by the medical personnel for quick medications.
That is going to disseminate health information. We are going to use the app as a means to collect data, analyze the data to do forecasting predictions, so that we can avoid some of the outbreaks that come around, or we can take in proactive measures to deal with emerging health challenges. So we are looking at a point where people will use the app, provide some information on, let's say, symptoms, and then we can come up to a certain point where we can say that we feel that people in the northern region are complaining about these symptoms within this time of the year. So what should Ghana Health Service do then? So we have medication reminders where people can log in the drugs they are supposed to take, so that they'll be given reminders when it's time to take them and when the drugs are running out. One very notable feature, which for us is very encouraging, is language translation. So we are looking at reaching underserved communities. Some don't speak English, some speak Chi, some speak Ga. So we are finding innovative ways of bringing the app to the language of the ordinary Ghanaian. We have a number of languages that we have targeted, and as we go on, we are going to extend it so that we don't cut off majority of the population. Then health education and awareness. The app is constantly going to give us information, climate aware information, and other forms of information so that we can plan our lives accordingly. And then community forums and support groups. So people within a community can form a forum and chat talk about things of interest and see the way forward. Now, this app is in two folds. The part where the Ghanaian populace can use, and then the other section which is going to be used solely by medical personnel. So they can use the app to communicate among themselves, share relevant information, and also transfer patient history, make appointments as and when necessary. We also have avenues for emergency assistance and virtual consultations.
You would look at the regions we have in Ghana, you would realize that in almost every region in Ghana, there is this group of people who would have limited access to healthcare. And those are the people who are targets to ensure we use this mobile technology to enhance their access.
Let's go for a very quick detour. When we come back, we have more news update for you right here on News in 30. Do stay with us.
I will pray, I will pray, I will pray, oh, I will pray. If I don't pray, Satan will make mess of me. I will pray.
Mubi e huna maniana, mane mompaye. Obi bu atoni yem, mane nto ayeye dwom. Na se obi nso yare a, yemfrɛ asɔre no mpanyimfoɔ na yemmɔ no so gidie empaye. Na yensra ne ngo, na gidie empaye no ebegye wo yarefoɔ no afiri ne yare empa so. Na se bɔne bi mpo na nipa no aya Awurade ede beche no. James chapter 5 verse 13 to 15. Ensem we nti na HSTV ahyehyɛ dwumadie bi a yato ne din sɛ let us pray anase mayemmɔ mpaye a efiada we Friday ya edi enimi na yepa dwumadie ho entoma. Eno ti hia me osofo yawo menem asofo mpanyimfo a Awurade abasa ne nsa ɛwɔ so
okasamafo a wobedi yenim na yedi dwumadie ahyɛ Nyankopɔn sa yasa apa ho ntoma Apostle Francis Amwakwata na wo mo de enwom to ebegu akwan mu madwumadie na ye krabehye Minister Hadasa, Minister Grace and afa Minister Ado enti baka ye ho na ye fa ye mo mpa dwumadie enhye Nyankopɔn twedi amponsa efiada yi wabra ye pa ho ntoma no nai pepepe HSTV.
You need to know that every man that is made, he has built on a ritual, and that ritual is called the place of prayer.
Welcome back from that very short and quick one. This is still News in 30 right here on HSTV with me, Savara Aiden. We're streaming live on our YouTube platform at HSTV Live GH. Do well to like, comment and share. Now on to some international news updates. US President Joe Biden hosted a defense summit with the leaders of Japan and Philippines. Japanese Prime Minister, that is Kishida, addressed the Congress and said the U.S. needs to overcome self-doubt about its global leadership. U.S. President Joe Biden, Japanese Prime Minister Kishida, and Philippines President Marcos Jr. met on Thursday in Washington for their first ever defense summit. The meeting came as Japanese and Chinese and Philippines Coast Guard vessels in the disputed South China Sea regularly became involved and involved in sanctions, with China increasingly asserting its territorial claims in the region.
Today we mark a historic moment, the first ever leaders summit between the United States, Japan, and the Philippines. And it's truly an honor to have you both here as we begin this new era of a partnership. And I want to be clear, the United States defense commitments to Japan and to the Philippines are ironclad. They are ironclad. As I've said before, Any attack on Philippine aircraft, vessels, or armed forces in the South China Sea would invoke our Mutual Defense Treaty.
Today's historic summit is a culmination of several preparatory engagements between our foreign ministries, our national security advisors, and our vice ministers, as well as the conduct of trilateral maritime exercises and joint development cooperation. But this meeting can be just a beginning. Facing the complex challenges of our time requires concerted efforts on everyone's part, a dedication to a common purpose, and an unwavering commitment to the rules-based international order. This is a meeting.
And that was U.S. President Joe Biden speaking at the Defense Summit. Well, this will be all for News in 30 update. But before we take a quick recap of the headlines. President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has urged Muslims to embrace the Zongo Development Fund during the Eid celebrations. Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party NPP, Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, has emphatically rejected the practice of LGBTQ in Ghana. Road transport operators have expressed strong opposition to the uncensored increase in public transport fares by certain drivers. And also, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is working on a mobile application which makes it easy for underserved communities to access healthcare. Thank you for joining us for today's news update on News in 30 with me, Savar Island. Now, stay with us. We have more programs for you right here on HSTV. Thank you and keep watching.